Hey guys, Victoria Paxton here. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel. Hey guys, so we're going to talk about Jennifer Kesse today. I think that's how you pronunciate her name. If not, I'm very sorry. It's Kesse. All right, so let's get started. Oh, don't forget about Friday Night Live. I go live on Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It's free. So here we go. Jennifer Joyce Kesse was born May 20th, 1981 in New Jersey. After graduating from Vivian Gaither High School in Tampa, Florida, she attended the University of Central Florida in Orlando, and she graduated in the year 2003 with a degree in finance. So, at the time of her disappearance, she was working as a finance manager at Central Florida Investments Timeshare Company. Say that fast 5 times. And she had recently bought a condo in Orlando. The weekend prior to her disappearance, she had vacation with her boyfriend in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Island. Tongue twisted today, guys. They returned on Sunday. She spent that night at her boyfriend's house, and she drove straight to work on the morning of Monday, January 23rd of 2006. Kesse was seen for the last time leaving work at approximately 6 p.m. on January 23rd. She spoke by phone with her father while driving home, and then with her boyfriend around 10 p.m. She was in the habit of texting or calling her boyfriend before she left for work, so it was unusual when she didn't do either the next morning. He called her, went to voicemail. When she failed to arrive at work, her employer contacted her parents, who began the 2-hour drive from their home to hers. Kesse's parents notified that her car was missing. All right, let's stop here. Okay, so I'm going to go over this timeline that some wonderful person put together that I really should have kept track of where I got it. I just literally, when I do my research, I just Googled. So, all right, so let's go over that, and then we'll come back to everything. So, Monday, January 23rd, 2006, 6 p.m. Jennifer leaves work, calls her parents. That's the last time her parents heard from her. She arrives home for the first time since she left for vacation. 10 p.m., Jennifer and her boyfriend talk by phone and say their goodnights. He's the last known person to speak with her before her disappearance. Tuesday, 7:30 to 8 o'clock a.m. Investigators initially believed that Kesse was abducted as she was walking from her front door to her car. They now believe that she left and was abducted at some point on her way to work. 8 to 9 a.m. Jennifer's boyfriend, who normally would have heard from her, calls her on his way to work, but it goes directly to voicemail. He chalks it up to a meeting that she had mentioned to him. His subsequent attempts are likewise unsuccessful. Jennifer's parents call him to say that Jennifer failed to show up at work. 11 a.m. Alarmed at Jennifer's uncharacteristic no call, no show, her employer contacted her parents, who began the drive from Tampa to Orlando. On the way, they called to ask the manager of her condo to check her home with a spare key. He reports that everything appears normal inside, but her car is missing. So noon, only 1.2 miles from Jennifer's home, surveillance cameras at an apartment complex record a person in the act of parking her car and walking away. The car and footage are not discovered until 2 days later. Gosh, that sucks. 3 o'clock to 3:15 p.m. Jennifer's parents and brother arrive at her condo. They find evidence that she had been home that morning. They call the police. As Jennifer's an adult, police initially, hold that she may have left on her own volition and that she'll be back. 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. Family and friends saturate the area with flyers that show Jennifer's picture. Sorry, guys. And the police send a detective to her home and begin interrogations and searches. Okay, Thursday, January 26th, 8:10 a.m. Seeing Jennifer's car on the news, a tenant of a nearby complex informs the police that her car has sat abandoned in front of their apartment for several days. Police confirm that it is Jennifer's 2004 Chevy Malibu. The vehicle is photographed and taken in for forensic examination. Police examine local surveillance footage and discover an unidentified person parking her car and walking away. With no sign of forced entry or struggle in her condo, investigators initially theorized that on the morning of January 24th, Jennifer left her apartment for work and locked her front door, only to be abducted at some point while walking towards her vehicle. Surveillance footage at an apartment complex 1 mile from Kesse's condo showed an unidentified person of interest dropping off Jennifer's car at approximately noon the day she went missing. So that's pretty key. So 8 o'clock to noon. So none of her family or friends recognized this person, whose physical features were not clear on the video. Investigators were disheartened to learn that the best video capture of the suspect in 3 separate snapshots was obscured by the fencing in the complex. The posts aligned to conceal this person's face. One journalist called the suspect the luckiest person of interest ever. Definitely. The FBI was called to help determine the person's size and gender, but they could only say the person stood between 5'3" and 5'5". NASA also enhanced the video to help identify the suspect. Detectives interpreted the valuables left inside the car to imply that robbery was not a motive. A search dog tracked a scent that led from her parked car to her apartment complex, prompting detectives to believe that the suspect may have returned to her apartment parking lot after they abandoned the car. No other evidence was found along the route. A forensic examination of the car yielded little in the way of evidence, only a latent print and a small DNA fiber. Investigators deduced that the car had been wiped down. Damn. The following items were missing: her cell phone, her iPad, her keys, her purse, her briefcase, and the clothes that she was wearing. Authorities were unable to ping her cell phone because it remained off. So whoever stole it turned it off. Her bank account key card has not been used since her disappearance. Okay, so I was able to connect with Jennifer. We talked about some personal stuff, that doesn't need to be shared on here. So I asked her if she would talk about the day she went missing. Doesn't remember much. She left her apartment, she got in her car, and she was about to leave, and she had somebody knock on her door, which scared her, of course. She was like, oh my gosh, and she turned. It was a guy that she thinks worked. Okay, this is where hold on, time out. Okay, so she was trying to describe this to me, okay? And I don't know if it's because they're condos that you own as opposed to, like, say, an apartment complex. Usually an apartment complex has maintenance people that they hire, right? So she's explaining to me that there was a guy that would work at different condos that she said she got a creepy feeling every time she saw him, like he would just continually stare at her. And he finally approached her to ask her out. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. I have a boyfriend. I'm so sorry. And she said after that, instead of like whistling at her and staring at her, he would just give her like this angry look every time he saw her. And she said like his eyes would burn through her because he was glaring at her so bad. So she said she wasn't sure if he worked for the condo or if he worked independently for someone else that had a condo there. She wasn't sure on that. So that's not real clear, but she said the guy who knocked on her window was this guy. And it startled her, but he was smiling, so she was like, oh, okay, he's calmed down, he just probably needs something simple. And she opened up her car door, and that was all she wrote. She doesn't remember anything else. She did bring this up, which is kind of strange. So she said that twice when she saw this guy, who she said she really didn't know him. So, but she said twice when she saw him, he was hanging out with this girl that she initially thought was a guy. And so one day when he confronted her prior to asking her out, he used to come up and be like, hey, how are you? and just kind of like be kind of creepy. She said to him, "Oh, is that your employee that works with you or something?" And he was like, "Who are you talking about?" And she described the guy, and he was like, "She's a girl." So she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." Here's the ironic thing. I asked her if she would describe this guy to me, and if she would describe, well, first of all, I had asked her prior if she would describe this guy to me that knocked on her window. She said he was Hispanic. The couple of times she had been close to him when they had spoken prior to him getting angry with her, she said he was maybe 5'8", 5'10", something like that. Because I was thinking back to what the FBI said, that this person was between 5'3" and 5'5", right? So when I asked her to describe this girl, who she thought initially was a guy, because she said she has like a real short buzz cut, and she saw her one time with a baseball cap on and one time with no baseball cap on, and she has like a buzzed faded cut, whatever that means. I think it means obvious, like fade, like it goes from like long to short or short to long or something. I think that's what she means, but I don't want to put words in her mouth out. Anyway, she said, yeah, I haven't been up close to her, so I don't really know how tall she is. And I said, was she shorter than this Hispanic guy? And she said, oh yeah, she was definitely a lot shorter than him. She said she doesn't remember anything after that, and that she's glad she doesn't remember. She doesn't want to remember that, yeah. So I couldn't really get much out of her, because she doesn't remember anything. So, but I do believe that her family, deserves closure. I think she deserves justice. I definitely think they need to dig into this maintenance guy or this handyman so again, did he work for the condo, or did he work for independent owners that owned the condos? You know what I mean? Because, if you get a good handyman and your neighbor says, hey, I need to get some work done on my fence, and you're like, oh, I have a great handyman. You know what I mean? And then ultimately that handyman ends up working all throughout your neighborhood, We have that a lot here. Like, people around here, we use like the same roofing companies and the same landscape. You know what I mean? Like, we pass these people around when we need help, because you want somebody that you want somebody that you can trust, and if they've worked on your neighbors' homes, then you trust them, So that about does it, guys. I hope that this family gets justice. I truly hope that they do. Be nice, be kind, stay safe, stay healthy. Supposedly, most of the states are lifting the mask mandates. We're all grown adults. We can make the decision for ourselves whether we choose to wear a mask or not, right? So that's how it should have been from the start, but in my opinion, you guys. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing okay, and I hope your weather's good. I can't wait for spring, y'all. I heard the birds singing this morning. It was freezing freaking cold yesterday, but it's supposed to warm up here in a couple days into like the 60s and 70s here in DC. So I'm like, woo, woo, let's go spring. All right, y'all. That about does it for me.